We're all set? Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Julie, before we begin, just to go over the ground rules, I'd assume that everything has to be done through recorded vote.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, it's 1 o'clock. I will call this committee meeting to order. The Rural Initiatives and Planning Advisory Committee. I welcome all the committee members and staff present, and anyone who's visiting us through live stream. Welcome. Without any further ado, we have an agenda before us. Has everyone had opportunity to peruse it? And if any additions or deletions are required, please sing out now. Otherwise, I would entertain a motion to approve the said agenda.
So moved, Ed.
Thank you. Moved by Mennel, seconded by
Giguère.
Giguère. All in favor?
Warden Mennel.
Yes.
Councillor Giguère.
Yes.
Councillor Martin.
Yes.
Heather Dirks.
Yes.
And Chairman Ketchba.
Yes.
5-0, motion carried.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from March the 10th, 2020. Again, they've been circulated. Hopefully everyone has opportunity to peruse them. If there are no errors or omissions, I would seek a motion to approve. Mover and seconder, please.
I will move it.
I'll move.
Okay, Giguère. Did I hear Sally in the background?
Yes, Martin seconds then.
Thank you. All in favor?
Warden Mennel.
Yes.
Councillor Giguère.
Yes.
Councillor Martin.
Yes.
Heather Dirks.
Yes.
And Chairman Ketchba.
Yes.
5-0, motion carried.
Thank you. Moving on with item 3, the Elgin County 2020 Grant and Festival Events Partnership Program allocations. You have a report on this, Julie?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to members of the Rural Initiatives and Planning Advisory Committee. At its meeting on April 14th, Elgin County Council approved 3 grants totaling just over $21,000. Those grants were allocated to Tillsonburg and District Multi-Service Center in the amount of $4,780. Quad County Support Services, $2,000. Second Stage Housing, $13,400. These 3 organizations will receive 90% of that funding up front and the remaining 10% upon receipt of a final report. And the follow-up required for County Council was that the Rural Initiatives and Planning Advisory Committee would meet and decide the remaining allocations, the direction there, and follow up at a future council meeting. So the purpose of the report before you is to review remaining allocations. And this is because a number of events and programs have been canceled in Elgin County as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, provincial orders to limit gatherings, and the closure of non-essential businesses. So with the direction from Chairman Ketchba, we solicited additional information from grant applicants, and we asked for information with respect to whether their events or programs would be proceeding as planned or whether they were anticipating any changes. And we've provided that information along with this report. So just to recap the Grant and Festival Partnership Program, as part of County Council's 2020 budget process, they approved a budget of $61,871 for grants. And at its meeting on March 10th, this committee received applications for grants from 14 community organizations, totaling $82,980. At that meeting, you reviewed and carefully scored each of the applicants, and the recommendations are noted in the chart, which is included in the report under the 5th column, recommended allocation as of March 10th, 2020. Someone's ringing.
Yes, I'm sorry.
So the remaining balance of $41,691 is available for the grant and festival partnership program. And a sixth column has been added to the chart included in your package titled Staff Recommendations. And really, this is for illustrative or discussion purposes only, and it relays information that we received from the applicants, and it's a revised ask in some cases, or a status quo ask in other cases. I will note that the personal support worker grant for Fanshawe College is not included in the total, as this amount is included in the Warden's 2020 budget because it is a Warden scholarship. And since committee members have not yet had the opportunity to review the supplementary information, which was submitted by the applicants recently, the committee, for the purposes of discussion, may wish to explore adjusting allocations based on the availability of additional funds following the withdrawal of at least 2 applications because of canceled programs or events. You may wish to proceed with the same scoring tool that you used for your March 10th allocations and recommendations. You may wish to design a new grant program, which could be used to allocate those remaining funds. And you may wish that staff follow up and request additional information from the applicants if there is any information that is still outstanding. So what we found when we reached out to the applicants is that COVID has certainly created a bit of a hiccup across the county in terms of events and programs that are scheduled. So we have seen from event organizers that there have been significant changes. Additionally, a number of applicants identified other ways that the funding offered through this program could be used to support their agency or organization to offset some of the unanticipated impacts of COVID-19 specifically. So we're anticipating that we get some feedback from the committee, and the staff members, Alan Smith, Jim Bunchu, and myself would be happy to follow up as directed. And with that, we'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Julie. I think we'll turn it open to the floor. Any comments, any direction anyone wants to pursue?
Martin.
Yep, Sally.
With the idea of the funds the ones that have been canceled and reallocating it, I'm not so certain. Elgin County are going to be having some deficits financially, I think, due to the COVID-19, and I would think we'd be wise to just leave that money in. It certainly can be granted next year. I realize that there are, the 2 that have withdrawn because they can't hold their event. At least one of them can't. And certainly, I'm not certain whether the fairs are going ahead. I see Wallacestown obviously is probably wanting to put that towards some capital things, but I'm just not certain if we should reallocate the funds that are not going to be used or just leave them in the fund would be my preference.
Okay, thank you for those comments. Any other thoughts?
Dave Menlo here. I agree with Sally. I do think the financial tsunami is going to be coming down the pipe in 2021. And I can see all capital projects coming from support coming from the province and the feds dying down to just a trickle. So I think the more we can keep in our own account, the better.
Okay. Dominique?
Yeah, sort of along those lines. I think there are a couple of events that are still in limbo. They have not made a final decision. So I would say we continue to hold the funding commitment until decisions have been made officially. As far as I would not support redirecting the funding for operational or infrastructure needs. I think our grant is very clear in our criteria it is to support the event, and so I would be cautious on that. And having said that, so I agree that we will need additional money, but the one that I would support is I think there's a request to increase the grant for Eat to Learn. And I think the pandemic, I think we need to adjust to the circumstances and the shift in need. And I think the food security is becoming a huge issue as a result, a direct result of the pandemic. And that is one I would consider redirecting funds from an event that is canceled for sure towards the increase in food security, increased need in food security and supporting the Food to Learn. I really appreciate how they were able to adjust their service and their program according to like how they can serve the community according to the circumstances.
Yes, thank you for those comments. Heather, do you have anything to add?
Just a general comment that the fairs are very important, and I understand that they aren't going to go this year, but I don't know if there's any way they could be ranked heavier next year if they proceed to manage to make it through this crisis intact. If there's any way that we can look fondly on their application next time, I don't know. I would hate to see them fold. I note the Wallaceburg comment that Wallacestown, the comment that they are wondering how we will survive. And I know 4-H is in the same boat, and I'm willing to go with the will of the group, but it's a general comment that it's very sad if they fold.
Yep, thank you. Thank you for those comments. From my perspective, I would, I guess, agree somewhat with all the comments put out there. I don't think we need to reallocate large funds. However, with the exception noted by Dominique that I think it was only $1,250 additional requested by Eat to Learn, and they've demonstrated how the need has grown and how they're supporting that. I don't have a problem actually reallocating from one of the funds which the events are no longer scheduled for this year. But I think it's also prudent from what Sally and Dave are saying that it may be prudent for us to just hang on to those additional or monies that aren't expended at this point. I suspect that as time goes on, we're going to find more and more of these events will be canceled throughout the year. And yes, we'll have a pot of money there. I suppose if an emergency crops up, there'll be something there that you can allocate from. Otherwise, it'll be for some other future use. So with that, does anyone have a recommendation on how they'd like to proceed then?
I agree. Sorry. That I agree totally with Dominique and the Eat to Learn, which is virtually the seniors' picnic money, but it's leaving the other $5,000. And I agree not taking the money away from the ones who haven't decided yet, although I do anticipate they probably won't be held. But right. We can leave that. I'm not certain why the Wallacestown one is left there when all the other fairs are not. Are we saying that they should get the $7,000 because they think they're going to go ahead, or what should we do there?
Agreed. Looking for any comment on that one. I assume it was for the construction of their pavilion.
Come on.
I think my comment would be that right now they have not made a decision, if I understand the report correctly, so they're still in limbo. So I think I would put them in the category that we continue to maintain our commitment until such a time as they decide. If they cancel, I would recommend that then we withdraw the commitment towards that money, because I would not support that we redirect towards more infrastructure based. I had a quick look at their budget that they submitted, their financial statements. I think healthy reserves. I fully understand and appreciate that they're not getting additional funding from their typical fundraisers this year. But I think that those realities will come to light in the 2021 budget, and we should consider their financial statements at that time and consider their realities at that time.
Thank you. All right, so what's the wish of the committee?
Ed, I would be in agreement. I think all the rural fairs are probably in jeopardy of not going forward this year, but put them on hold. I mean, miracles could happen, but I'd be in full favor of bumping up the Eat to Learn to their $6,250.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to consider that as a separate motion, David, or shall we package it all together into one neat package?
I think we can put it all together. I think.
So do I.
I'm getting consensus that everybody's in favor of that position.
I think so too. So Julie, from what I'm hearing, the committee's adopting a bit of a holding pattern on some of the unannounced events with their intentions, but at the same time, increasing the funding to the Eat to Learn by the $1,250 request. Does that summarize in what I've been hearing? Am I missing something?
From my perspective, that is an accurate reflection of the committee's comments, save and except for the fact that the committee, the official recommendation would be that the committee recommends to Elgin County Council that the Eat to Learn program receives $6,250 in funding immediately, followed by your comments with respect to maintaining a commitment until such time as a decision is made to cancel additional events. So there is outstanding information that we are waiting for before additional information can be, or before another decision can be made.
I would move that, Ed.
Thank you, David. Anyone willing to second that?
Martin, willing to second.
Thank you, Sally. So all in favor of that rather verbose motion? You'll wordsmith it down, I'm sure.
Yes, we'll tighten it up. Warden Mennel,
Yes.
Councillor Jaguar,
Yes.
Councillor Martin,
Yes.
Heather Dirks,
Yes.
and Chairman Ketchbaugh.
Yes.
5-0, the motion is carried.
Thank you. Moving back to the agenda, the signage grant, Elmer Malahide Museum's Archives. Who's taking that one on?
Alan Smith.
Thank you, Alan.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Through our signage grant program, every year we are open to receiving requests from nonprofit groups for a grant for a sign. You can actually apply for 2 signs, and this year we had a request from the Elmer Malahide Museum and Archives, and for one grant of $150, and that is before the committee today. And thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Can you remind us what is the total allocation for the signage grant annually?
Actually, it really is dependent upon how many applicants we receive and the cost involved in erecting the signs. Now, every year it does change, of course. This year we have 19 signs that be installed, and each signage tab is $250 for the installation. And if we require to locate signs, we get requests from a applicant where the structure is not in place. If we cannot accommodate on the current structure, that new structure is approximately $1,500. Now, it is my, if the memory serves me correctly, we may have put up one structure this year only, which is good. So Again, each sign is every year the fee is $150. So in 2 years we cover our costs.
Okay, okay. So the request is for $150.
I would be happy to move that we give the Elmer Museum the 150 for one of the signs.
Thank you, Sally.
And
And thank you, Dominique. So it's been moved by Sally, seconded by Dominique, to grant the request for $150 to the Elmer Malahide Museum Art and Archive. Any additional comments before I call the question? If not, then let's do the roll call. All in favor?
Warden Mennel,
Yes.
Councillor Jiguer,
yes.
Councillor Martin,
Yes.
Heather Dirks,
Yes.
and Chairman Ketchba.
Yes.
5-0, the motion is carried.
Okay, moving onward then to establish the date for our next meeting. Last time we met personally in March, we had set July the 14th as a potential meeting date. Is that still valid, or does staff see something else coming down the road that we may need to meet sooner?
Chair, all I was going to say is because we have at least 3 festivals that have not made their decision yet, perhaps maybe a little bit earlier, maybe by mid-June, we should know the status of each festival and we could reconvene then and make final decisions.
Sounds okay to me. If everyone else is all right with that, can we schedule that somewhere around a county council meeting in
Certainly.
the afternoon? Okay.
Yes. Yes. And through you, Mr. Chairman, we'd also be happy to prepare the other outstanding information that the committee wished to see. So we'll move up those agenda items to the middle of June rather than wait until the middle of July.
That sounds good to me then. What specifically is that date, or do we worry about it at this point? Be the second Tuesday or something?
I would say you probably wait till you know for sure whether, where these groups have made their decision, that we really can't make a decision till we know for sure whether they're going ahead or not.
Would you recommend then the fourth Tuesday, Sally?
Oh, I don't care about what Tuesday, or if we want to. I was going to leave it to the Julie to let you as chair know, and then you could call at the discretion of the chair.
If the committee is comfortable with that, I'm willing to do that.
As an
Okay.
As an alternative, Mr. Chairman, perhaps we could set a tentative date for June 9th to be confirmed, and perhaps set a time for 1 p.m.
All right, that sounds good. I'll record it as a tentative date, June the 9th, 1 p.m. But I think Sally's absolutely correct. If we haven't got any further information, there's not much point. Okay. Is there any other business before we adjourn?
Yeah, I had just on another subject before Heather leaves. Heather, I'm tomorrow's roundtable ag meeting. I see the connection is on a Telus.com.
Yes.
I'm gathering we hit that and we'll be into view.
Yeah, you hit that link that was in the email and it should bring you to an opening screen, and then you just click join from computer.
Okay. How about the phone number just in case that doesn't work well?
Of course. 519
Yep.
719 6072
6072
2072.
072. Thanks, Heather.
No problem at all. See you then.
Heather, have you sent out an email with that number? Because I can't join. I have to just join the other way with the phone. So just checking.
Yeah, in the email that I sent out, there was a list of phone numbers as well that you can call in on. Whichever one is
Thank you.
not long distance for you. There's a few options there.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay. Now we'll get back onto the agenda here, and I'd look for an adjournment motion. Thank you, David. That was Heather?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All in favor?
Warden Mennel,
Yes.
Councillor Jiguer,
Yes.
Councillor Martin,
Yes.
Heather Dirks,
Yes.
and Chairman Ketchba.
Yes.
5-0, the motion is carried.
Thank you, everyone, and hopefully we'll talk soon. And thank you, staff.
We'll see most of you folks tomorrow.
Hope
The
so.
link works.